Commander Sarah Chen stood in the observation dome of Watchpoint Artemis, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching vessels. To the rest of the galaxy, this station didn't exist. Like thousands of other human installations throughout the solar system, it remained hidden behind quantum camouflage fields that had taken decades to perfect. Contact bearing confirmed, Lieutenant Park announced from his station. 3 vessels, matching known hegemony configurations, 2 escorts, and what appears to be a diplomatic vessel. His voice carried the calm precision that came from years of preparation for this moment. Sarah nodded, watching the red dots move through the display. The aliens thought they were being stealthy, using what they considered advanced cloaking technology. They had no idea that humanity had been studying their methods for the past 70 years, ever since the first automated probe detected their empire's expansion into the Carina Arm. "Status of the Sol Defense Grid?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. She'd helped design the system herself. "All nodes nominal, Commander," Captain Rivera reported from the tactical station. "Ghost fleets maintaining position in dimensional pocket space. Surface installations showing green across the board. Operation Looking Glass is proceeding exactly as simulated." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Looking Glass, humanity's master strategy for first contact, represented the culmination of over a century of preparation. While the rest of the galaxy saw Earth as just another primitive world on the verge of discovering faster-than-light travel, the reality was far different. Humanity had achieved FTL capability nearly 50 years ago, but had kept it hidden, along with countless other technological breakthroughs. The hegemony's approach followed their standard pattern perfectly. They always sent scout ships first, then diplomatic vessels, all while scanning for military capabilities. Their empire had expanded across 1,000 worlds using the same technique. Appear peaceful, offer protection, then gradually strip away independence until the target world was fully absorbed. "Message from Central Command," Lieutenant Park announced. "Director Harrison is requesting a status update." Sarah tapped her neural interface, connecting directly to the quantum entanglement communicator. Director Emma Harrison's hologram appeared before her, the older woman's expression serious but confident. "Commander Chen, I trust everything is proceeding according to schedule." "Yes, Director. The hegemony vessels are maintaining their expected approach vector. Their scan patterns suggest they're conducting standard pre-contact surveillance. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see." Harrison nodded. "The surface theater is ready. We've positioned our primitive space stations and satellites exactly where they need to be. The International Space Agency is putting on quite a show with their experimental fusion drive tests." She chuckled. "The hegemony must think we're decades away from true spaceflight. Their arrogance has always been their weakness," Sarah remarked. "They've never encountered a civilization that anticipated their arrival. The psychological profiles suggest they'll follow their standard protocol to the letter." "Agreed. The Council has selected Ambassador Chen for the initial contact." Harrison's eyes twinkled. "I believe you know him well." Sarah couldn't help but smile. "My father has always been good at playing the humble diplomat. The hegemony won't suspect that he helped develop the quantum strike capabilities of the Ghost Fleet." A soft chime interrupted their conversation. Lieutenant Park's voice carried a note of excitement. "Commander, the diplomatic vessel is moving into high orbit. They're preparing to broadcast their first message." "Right on schedule," Harrison said. "Remember, Commander Chen, maintain absolute communication discipline. Let them think their encryption is unbreakable. The moment they believe they have superiority is the moment our plan succeeds." Sarah acknowledged the order as Harrison's hologram faded. She turned back to the main display, watching as the hegemony ship took up position above Earth's northern hemisphere. In preparation for this moment, humanity had dismantled most of their visible military installations years ago, replacing them with harmless-looking research facilities. Meanwhile, their real military might waited in dimensional pocket space, invisible to even the most advanced hegemony sensors. The first transmission from the alien vessel came exactly as predicted. Lieutenant Park played it through the command center speakers. "People of Earth, we come in peace as representatives of the hegemony of aligned worlds. We have observed your civilization's progress and wish to offer you the benefits of membership in our Grand Alliance." Sarah listened to the carefully crafted message, noting how it hit all the expected diplomatic notes while subtly emphasizing Earth's technological inferiority. The hegemony had perfected this approach over centuries of expansion. They presented themselves as benevolent guides while positioning their military assets for eventual subjugation. "Send the prepared response through the civilian channels," she ordered. "Maintain our technological facade. Let's show them exactly what they expect to see, an eager primitive species grateful for their attention." As her crew carry out their tasks with practiced precision, Sarah thought about the decades of preparation that had led to this moment. After the first detection of the hegemony, Earth's nations had made an unprecedented decision. Instead of rushing into space and announcing their presence, they would wait, watch, and prepare. The Cold War had ended not with military confrontation, but with a secret agreement among world powers. Resources that might have been spent on surface conflicts were instead directed toward hidden space development. The result was a civilization unlike anything the hegemony had encountered before, a world that appeared primitive on the surface, but harbored technology that had developed along entirely different lines than the standard galactic progression. While the hegemony relied on predictable energy patterns and conventional physics, humanity had explored quantum mechanics, dimensional engineering, and consciousness-linked technology. "The hegemony vessel is beginning its detailed scan of our orbital installations," Captain Rivera reported. "Their energy signatures suggest they're using their most advanced scanning equipment." "Good," Sarah replied. "Let them get a good look at our primitive orbital facilities. Are the quantum shadows maintaining integrity?" "Perfect coverage, Commander. The dimensional pocket spaces are completely masked. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're exactly what we appear to be, a species just beginning to reach for the stars." Sarah watched as the alien ship continued its surveillance, its powerful sensors examining what appeared to be humanity's highest technological achievements, installations that were, in reality, elaborate props designed specifically for this moment. Below the visible surface, Earth's true defensive capabilities waited silently: quantum-linked weapon systems, consciousness-driven shields, and fleets of ships that could step between dimensions. "Commander," Lieutenant Park called out, his voice tight with controlled excitement, "we're detecting preliminary military scans. They're testing for defensive capabilities." "Right on schedule," Sarah murmured. "Maintain passive stance. Let them think their scans are undetected." She paused, then added, "And Lieutenant, begin recording everything. The hegemony is about to give us a complete analysis of their military scanning capabilities. That data will be invaluable when the time comes." As the alien ships continued their reconnaissance, Sarah thought about her father, preparing for his role in the coming drama. Ambassador Chen would play his part perfectly, the humble representative of a developing world, eager to learn from their advanced visitors. The hegemony would never suspect that the seemingly primitive diplomatic team they would soon meet had been training for this encounter for years. The real question wasn't whether humanity could defend itself. The simulations had proven that their technological developments had far exceeded the hegemony's capabilities. The question was how to handle the aftermath. Humanity didn't want to simply defeat the hegemony. They wanted to fundamentally change the galaxy's power structure, to create something better than the Empire's cycle of conquest and subjugation. "Multiple ships detected at the system's edge," Captain Rivera announced. "Hegemony military vessels holding position just beyond Pluto's orbit. Standard conquest fleet configuration." Sarah nodded. Everything was proceeding exactly as their analysts had predicted. The hegemony always positioned their military assets early, ready to strike if diplomatic subjugation failed. They had no way of knowing that human sensors had detected their arrival days ago, or that the Ghost Fleet had already moved assets into position around them. hidden in pocket space. "Send the hourly update to Central Command," she ordered, "and maintain surveillance on those military ships. I want to know every time they so much as adjust their position." The next few days would be crucial. The hegemony would follow their standard diplomatic procedure, gradually increasing pressure while positioning their forces for what they thought would be an easy conquest if Earth refused their generous offer. They had no idea they were walking into the most elaborate trap ever created, against an opponent who had spent decades preparing specifically for them. Sarah Chen allowed herself another small smile as she watched the alien ships move through their predetermined patterns. Sometimes the best defense wasn't a show of force, but the patience to wait for the perfect moment. Humanity had mastered that patience, and soon, very soon, the hegemony would learn just how costly their assumptions had been. The Geneva Diplomatic Center gleamed in the morning sun, its pristine architecture deliberately designed to project an image of emerging technological sophistication, advanced enough to impress, but not so advanced as to alarm. Ambassador Michael Chen adjusted his simple black suit, a costume chosen as carefully as the building itself. Every detail of this meeting had been choreographed through countless simulations and psychological analyses. High above, cloaked in quantum shadows, Commander Sarah Chen watched through the facility's hidden sensors as the hegemony delegation's shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. Her father stood ready below, playing his role in humanity's greatest performance. Hegemony shuttle maintaining designated approach vector, Lieutenant Park reported from Watchpoint Artemis. "Their shields are active, and they're conducting continuous environmental scans." "Let them scan," Sarah replied. "They'll find exactly what we've prepared for them to find." The shuttle landed with practiced precision on the center's landing pad. The door opened with a soft hiss, revealing 5 figures that stepped out into Earth's sunlight. The hegemony representatives stood nearly 8 feet tall, their iridescent scales shifting colors in the morning light. Their ceremonial armor, embedded with pulsing power crystals, was designed to awe primitive species with its display of advanced technology. Ambassador Chen stepped forward, flanked by his carefully selected team. Each member had been chosen not just for their diplomatic skills, but for their ability to project exactly the right mix of anxiety and awe that the hegemony would expect from a developing civilization. "Welcome to Earth," Chen said, his voice carrying just the right note of respectful deference. "We are honored by your presence." The lead alien, High Executor Ixel, inclined his head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement to what he considered a lesser species. "The hegemony greets you, people of Earth. We have watched your development with great interest." Sarah observed the exchange from her command center, noting every subtle detail of the aliens' behavior. Their posture, their technology, even the way they positioned themselves relative to the human delegation. Everything confirmed their intelligence reports. The hegemony truly believed they were dealing with a primitive civilization. "Our analysis suggests you are on the verge of several significant technological breakthroughs," Ixel continued, his translator converting his harmonic speech into perfect English. "The hegemony wishes to ensure these advances proceed safely." Michael Chen's expression showed just the right mix of gratitude and eagerness. "We would be most grateful for any guidance your advanced civilization could provide. Perhaps you would allow us to show you some of our recent achievements." The tour that followed was another carefully crafted deception. The delegation was shown laboratories working on experimental fusion technology that the hegemony had mastered centuries ago. They observed tests of primitive space engines that humanity had actually surpassed decades earlier. Each demonstration was designed to reinforce the hegemony's sense of superiority. In orbit, Sarah monitored the aliens' communications with their fleet. Their encrypted transmissions, which they believed unbreakable, painted a clear picture of their intentions. "Primary assessment confirms initial analysis." One message read, "Indigenous civilization approaching critical development phase. Standard integration protocols recommended." "They're deploying deep scan probes from their ships," Captain Rivera reported, "trying to map Earth's defense infrastructure." Sarah nodded, Let them find our decoy installations. Are the quantum shields holding around the real facilities? Perfect coverage. Commander, the probes are picking up exactly what we want them to see. Below, the diplomatic dance continued. The hegemony delegation was escorted to a conference room where Earth's leaders, actually carefully selected actors and minor officials, gathered to hear the aliens' proposal. The real human leadership watched from secure facilities, analyzing every word and gesture. High Executor Ixel stood at the head of the conference table, his presence commanding attention. The hegemony offers membership in our Grand Alliance, he announced. We will guide your development, protect you from hostile powers, and ensure your transition into the galactic community proceeds smoothly. His eyes swept the room. All we require is your commitment to follow our guidance in all matters of technological and social development. Sarah watched her father's response carefully. This was a crucial moment. They needed to appear eager but not desperate, compliant but not completely submissive. Too much resistance would trigger an immediate military response. Too little would make the hegemony suspicious. Such an offer is most generous, Michael Chen said, his voice thoughtful. However, our people have many questions about what this membership would entail. Would we retain autonomy over our internal affairs? Ixel's scales shifted to a pattern that humanity's chronobiologists had identified as indicating satisfaction. The aliens always preferred when primitive species asked this particular question. It gave them the opportunity to be magnanimous while establishing their dominance. Of course, the High Executor replied smoothly. The hegemony believes in preserving local governance within appropriate parameters. We would simply provide oversight to ensure your development proceeds along approved lines. In orbit, Sarah received another decoded transmission from the hegemony fleet. Indigenous leadership showing expected response patterns. Recommend proceeding with Phase 2 of integration protocols. Phase 2. Sarah knew from their intelligence what that meant. The hegemony would begin positioning their fleet for a show of force, while simultaneously offering technology that would make Earth dependent on them. It was the same strategy they'd used to subjugate dozens of worlds. Commander, Lieutenant Park called out, we're detecting power spikes from the hegemony vessels. They're charging weapons systems but keeping them in standby mode. Right on schedule, Sarah murmured. Maintain our current posture. Let them think their intimidation tactics are working. Back in Geneva, the diplomatic session continued with discussions of trade agreements and cultural exchange programs. Each proposal was carefully designed to bind Earth more tightly to the hegemony, while maintaining the illusion of independence. The alien delegation seemed pleased with how smoothly everything was proceeding. There is one other matter, Ixel said near the end of the meeting. We've detected some concerning elements in your military research programs. For your own safety, we would recommend suspending these activities until proper oversight can be established. Michael Chen's face showed carefully calculated concern. Of course, we understand. Perhaps we could discuss specific areas of concern. We would not want to inadvertently alarm our new allies. Sarah watched the exchange with growing satisfaction. The hegemony was following their predicted behavior pattern exactly. Soon they would begin making more direct demands, backed by increasingly obvious military threats. They would never realize that each step they took followed a script written by humanity decades ago. Multiple hegemony warships moving into attack position, Captain Rivera reported. Still outside planetary defense range, but clearly visible to our primitive sensors. Good, Sarah replied. Let them think their show of force is having the desired effect. Have our ghost fleets maintained position? Yes, Commander. All ships standing by in pocket space, weapons hot but dimensionally phased. The hegemony has no idea they're surrounded. The diplomatic meeting concluded with promises of further discussions. As the alien delegation prepared to return to their shuttle, High Executor Ixel delivered their carefully planned parting message. We look forward to a long and productive relationship with Earth, he said. The hegemony has much to offer those who embrace our guidance, and much to teach those who might consider other paths. The threat was clear but subtle. exactly what their analysts had predicted. Sarah watched her father bow slightly to the aliens, his expression showing just the right mix of understanding and submission. "We are grateful for the hegemony's wisdom," he said, "and we look forward to learning much from our new friends." As the shuttle lifted off, Sarah received a priority message from Central Command. Director Harrison's voice came through her neural link. Phase 1 complete. All hegemony responses within predicted parameters. Initiate preparation for Phase 2. Sarah smiled as she watched the alien shuttle dock with their orbiting diplomatic vessel. Everything was proceeding exactly as humanity had planned. The hegemony thought they were executing their standard conquest strategy, never suspecting that every move they made brought them closer to a trap 7 decades in the making. "Send word to all Ghost Fleet commanders," she ordered. "Phase 2 begins in 48 hours. It's time to show our visitors what humanity is really capable of." High Executor Ixel stood on the bridge of the Imperial vessel Destiny's Light, reviewing the latest reports from Earth. Everything was proceeding according to standard protocols, yet something nagged at the edges of his consciousness. The humans were being almost too cooperative, their responses too perfect. "Status of the integration fleet," he asked his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Venn. "All ships in position, Executor. The primitive satellites have detected our military vessels, as intended. Their global communications show increasing anxiety among their population. They are responding exactly as expected to our show of force." In the quantum-shielded chambers beneath Geneva, the Earth Defense Council convened its final meeting before implementation of Phase 2. Director Harrison stood before the assembled leaders, her expression grave but determined. "The hegemony has positioned their fleet exactly where our predictive models suggested they would," she announced. "All 27 of their warships are now within the containment zone. Ambassador Chen's final report confirms they are fully committed to their standard conquest protocol." Sarah Chen's hologram appeared beside Harrison, her image transmitted securely from Watchpoint Artemis. "Ghost Fleet squadrons are in position, dimensionally phased and ready. The quantum grid is fully charged. We can proceed on your order." The Council President nodded slowly. "Very well. Commence Operation Revelation." High above Earth, Commander Sarah Chen gave the order that humanity had spent decades preparing to deliver. "Initiate Phase 2. All units, execute Protocol Omega." At first, nothing seemed to change. Then, across the solar system, space itself began to ripple as humanity's hidden technology activated. The quantum shadows that had concealed Earth's true capabilities for so long began to fade, revealing what lay beneath. On the bridge of Destiny's Light, alarms suddenly blared. "Executor," Venn called out, his scales shifting to warning colors. "Multiple spatial anomalies detected. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database." Before Ixel could respond, the space around his fleet transformed. Massive structures emerged from seemingly empty void orbital platforms that dwarfed anything in the hegemony's arsenal. Fleets of ships appeared from dimensional pockets, their designs completely alien to hegemony doctrine. "Impossible," Ixel whispered. His sensors showed thousands of human vessels surrounding his fleet, their technology operating on principles his scientists had never even theorized. "They couldn't have hidden all this. We scanned their entire system." "High Executor," a calm voice came through his command channel. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. I believe it's time we had an honest conversation about humanity's place in the galaxy." In Geneva, Ambassador Chen stood before the hegemony's diplomatic delegation, his humble demeanor replaced by one of quiet authority. "Your sensors are now detecting our actual technological level," he informed the stunned aliens. "What you see is only a fraction of Earth's true capabilities. The quantum grid that humanity had spent 50 years constructing now fully activated, creating a containment field around the entire solar system." The hegemony fleet found itself unable to engage their faster-than-light drives or send messages to their empire. "We studied you for 70 years, Sarah's voice continued, addressing the hegemony commanders. "We learned your protocols, your technologies, your weaknesses, while you saw what you expected to see, a primitive civilization ready for conquest. We prepared for this moment. Across Earth, hidden installations emerged from their quantum shrouds. Cities that had appeared to be centers of primitive industry revealed themselves as technological marvels. The carefully maintained facade of a developing civilization fell away, showing the true face of human achievement. Your ships are currently contained within a quantum-locked space-time bubble, Sarah explained to the increasingly agitated hegemony commanders. Your weapons cannot reach us, your transmissions cannot leave the system, and your faster-than-light drives are useless. You are not in danger, but you are completely at our mercy. In orbit, the Ghost Fleet vessels demonstrated capabilities that defied hegemony understanding. Ships phased between dimensions at will, their quantum-linked weapons capable of bypassing any known defense. The humans had not merely matched hegemony technology. They had developed along entirely different lines, creating systems that operated outside the Empire's scientific paradigms. How? Ixel demanded, his composure finally breaking. How did you hide all of this? Because you saw what you expected to see, Ambassador Chen replied from Geneva. Your empire has conquered so many worlds that you stopped looking deeper. You never considered that a civilization might detect your approach and choose to wait, to watch, to prepare. Sarah's voice carried a note of almost maternal patience as she continued addressing the hegemony fleet. We could have revealed ourselves decades ago, but we needed to understand. Not just your technology or your tactics, but your culture, your philosophy, your reasons for building an empire based on subjugation rather than cooperation. The hegemony diplomats in Geneva watched in stunned silence as holographic displays showed the true extent of human advancement. Quantum computing arrays that made their best systems look primitive. Consciousness-linked interfaces that operated on principles their scientists had never imagined. Weapons that could disable entire fleets without causing a single casualty. We didn't develop along your technological path, Sarah explained. While you focused on mastering physical space, we explored quantum mechanics, consciousness technology, and dimensional engineering. Every time you conquered a world, we learned from your mistakes and your victories alike. In the quantum-shielded council chamber, Director Harrison watched the unfolding revelation with satisfaction. Decades of preparation, trillions in resources, and the combined efforts of humanity's greatest minds had led to this moment. They had achieved what no other civilization had managed. They had caught the hegemony completely off guard. You face a choice now, Sarah announced to the contained hegemony fleet. Your empire has operated on the principle that advanced civilizations have the right, even the duty, to guide and control those they consider primitive. Today, by your own logic, humanity has earned the right to guide you. Ambassador Chen's voice carried the weight of human history as he addressed the diplomatic delegation. But we reject that principle. We believe in cooperation, not subjugation. In mutual growth, not enforced stagnation. We are not your superiors, despite our technological advantages. We wish to be your partners. The quantum grid pulsed with power, a demonstration of human capabilities that made even the most advanced hegemony sensors struggle to comprehend the energies involved. Yet not a single human weapon had been fired, not one act of aggression committed. Your fleet will remain contained until your leadership agrees to meaningful diplomatic negotiations, Sarah informed them. Not for submission, but for genuine alliance. Humanity has no desire to conquer or control, but we will not allow the cycle of subjugation to continue. As the hegemony commanders and diplomats grappled with their new reality, Sarah exchanged a glance with her father through their quantum-linked communications. Humanity had revealed its true face to the galaxy, but this was only the beginning. The real challenge would be guiding the hegemony, and by extension, the galaxy, toward a future based on cooperation rather than conquest. The veil had fallen, and with it the old balance of power. Now came the harder task, building something better from the ashes of the hegemony's shattered assumptions. The first shot of the battle wasn't fired by either side's weapons. It came in the form of a quantum data pulse that rippled through the contained space around Earth, temporarily disrupting the hegemony fleet's internal communications. A demonstration, not an attack, but one that showed just how outmatched the aliens' technology had become. Multiple hegemony vessels powering weapons. Lieutenant Park's voice cut through the tense atmosphere of Watchpoint Artemis. Battle formations detected in sectors 7 through 12. Commander Sarah Chen watched as a portion of the alien fleet, led by Sub-Commander Ven's dreadnought, broke formation with the main group, while High Executor Ixel had chosen to accept the reality of humanity's superiority. Some of his officers had not. All Ghost Fleet vessels maintain defensive posture, she ordered. Activate quantum interference fields, but do not engage. Let's show them what they're really dealing with. The rebel hegemony ships launched their first salvo, streams of plasma torpedoes and graviton beams that would have annihilated any conventional defense. But humanity's ships didn't attempt to dodge or raise shields. Instead, the space around them seemed to fold, the attacks passing through empty dimensions where the vessels had been microseconds before. They're adapting their targeting algorithms, Captain Rivera reported, attempting to predict our phase shift patterns. Sarah nodded. Implement Countermeasure Suite Alpha. Let them see exactly how futile this is. In the command center beneath Geneva, Director Harrison and the Earth Defense Council watched the battle unfold through quantum-linked displays. The hegemony ships moved with practiced precision, executing combat maneuvers that had conquered 1,000 worlds. But they were fighting an enemy that had spent decades preparing specifically for them. Ghost Fleet squadrons, execute containment protocol, Sarah commanded. Minimal force, maximum effect. Remember your training. Human vessels began to move in patterns that defied conventional space combat doctrine. Instead of forming battle lines or seeking tactical positions, they created an intricate dance of dimensional shifts and quantum fields. Each ship's movement complemented the others, forming a symphony of space-time manipulation that slowly but inexorably contained the rebel fleet. Sub-Commander Ven's voice crackled through the command channel, frustration evident even through the translator. Face us in honest combat. Stop these cowards' tactics. There is no honor in unnecessary bloodshed, Sarah replied calmly. We could destroy your ships in seconds, but that would only prove we can kill as efficiently as you. We choose a different path. The battle continued, but it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships phased between dimensions, appearing and disappearing in carefully choreographed sequences. Quantum fields redirected enemy fire back into empty space. Consciousness-linked targeting systems anticipated hegemony maneuvers before they began. They're attempting to concentrate fire on Watchpoint Artemis, Lieutenant Park announced. 5 vessels moving into attack formation. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Activate the station's quantum mirror array. The massive orbital platform suddenly seemed to multiply holographic duplicates created by quantum field manipulation appearing in a sphere around the attacking ships. Each duplicate was indistinguishable from the original, even to the hegemony's most advanced sensors. An interesting tactical problem, isn't it? Sarah transmitted to the frustrated alien commanders. When every target is both real and unreal until the moment of interaction, how do you choose where to fire? The rebel fleet's formation began to break down as confusion spread through their ranks. Their sensors showed thousands of potential targets, their weapons passed through empty space where ships had been, and their communications were increasingly disrupted by quantum interference. Commander, Captain Rivera called out, the rebel flagship is charging its main cannon. Energy readings suggest they're overriding safety protocols. Sarah's expression hardened. They're getting desperate. Implement final warning protocol. Across the battlefield, human ships executed a perfectly synchronized maneuver. Quantum fields aligned, consciousness-linked systems coordinated, and for a brief moment, the very fabric of space-time around the rebel fleet crystallized. Every hegemony ship found itself trapped in a moment of frozen time, unable to move, fire, or even communicate. This is your final warning. Sarah transmitted on all frequencies. Your weapons are useless. Your drives are nullified. Your choice now is simple. Surrender and join the diplomatic negotiations, or remain trapped in that quantum bubble until your life support fails. We don't want to harm you, but we will not allow you to harm others. In the frozen bubble of space-time, the rebel commanders watched helplessly as their sensor readings confirmed the totality of their defeat. Their most powerful weapons couldn't penetrate the quantum field. Their fastest ships couldn't escape. Their most advanced technology was rendered meaningless by humanity's capabilities. One by one, the rebel ships powered down their weapons. Sub-Commander Ven's voice, when it finally came through, carried the weight of shattered certainty. We surrender. The hegemony surrenders. A wise choice, Sarah replied. Remember this moment. Remember that we could have destroyed you, but chose not to. That is the difference between our civilizations, and it is the reason we will help you build something better than an empire based on fear. The quantum time lock dissolved, freeing the rebel ships. Human vessels moved in to escort them back to the main fleet, where High Executor Ixel waited to deal with his subordinates' insubordination. In the Geneva Command Center, Director Harrison addressed the Council. The battle is won, but our real work is just beginning. The hegemony's defeat here will send shockwaves through the galaxy. We must be ready for what comes next. Sarah Chen looked out at the assembled fleets, human and hegemony ships now floating in an uneasy peace. The battle had demonstrated humanity's overwhelming technological superiority, but it had done so without a single death. That was the message they needed to send to the galaxy. True power lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to show mercy. All units stand down from combat status, she ordered. Begin power down sequences and prepare for diplomatic protocols. The symphony of battle is over. Now comes the harder task of making music together. As the Ghost Fleet vessels phased back into normal space, their quantum shrouds dropping to reveal their true forms to their former enemies, Sarah thought about the long path that had led to this moment. Humanity had spent decades preparing for war, only to win their greatest victory without firing a shot. It was a lesson she hoped the hegemony, and the whole galaxy, would take to heart. The grand chamber of the Geneva Diplomatic Center had been transformed. Where once humanity had played at being primitive, now the room showcased their true achievements. Quantum holographic displays filled the air with representations of both human and hegemony space. The assembled delegates, human and alien alike, sat in a perfect circle, symbolizing the new equality humanity insisted upon. High Executor Ixel, his scales now showing patterns of deep contemplation, addressed the gathered representatives. For 10,000 years, the hegemony has expanded through the galaxy, believing our technological superiority gave us the right, the duty, to guide lesser civilizations. In 3 days, humanity has shattered not just our military doctrine, but the very foundations of our society's beliefs. Commander Sarah Chen stood at one of the chamber's observation windows, watching the combined fleet exercises taking place in orbit. Human vessels phased in and out of dimensional space, while hegemony ships practiced new formations, learning to work alongside the very civilization they had planned to conquer. The Quantum Link Communications Network is now operational across 80% of hegemony space. Lieutenant Park reported from his new position at the Diplomatic Center's control hub. Their worlds are beginning to understand the full scope of what happened here. Director Harrison stepped forward to address the chamber. The question before us is not what humanity could do with our technological superiority. We've demonstrated that clearly. The question is what we should do. What path serves not just human interests, but the interests of all spacefaring civilizations. In orbit, aboard Watchpoint Artemis, Captain Rivera coordinated with hegemony technical teams as they began to understand the principles behind human technology. Not all of humanity's advances were being shared. Some capabilities would remain secured behind quantum locks, but enough was being revealed to demonstrate the different path human development had taken. Your civilization achieved in secret what we could not achieve in millennia of open development. Sub-Commander Venn admitted, his earlier hostility replaced by genuine curiosity as he studied the quantum engineering displays. How did you maintain such unity of purpose? Such patience? Ambassador Chen, standing beside his daughter Sarah in the diplomatic center, answered for humanity. Because we understood something your empire forgot. True strength lies not in the ability to conquer, but in the wisdom to wait, to learn, and to grow. We hid our capabilities not out of fear, but because we needed to understand what kind of civilization we were dealing with. The holographic displays shifted, showing the thousands of worlds under hegemony control. Worlds that had been conquered, their development forcibly guided along paths the Empire deemed appropriate. Worlds that now looked to Earth with a mixture of hope and fear, wondering what humanity would do with its newfound position of strength. We propose a new model of galactic civilization, Director Harrison announced. Not an empire built on conquest, but an alliance founded on mutual respect and shared growth. Each world free to develop along its own path, while contributing to the greater whole of galactic society. And if we refuse? One of the hegemony counselors asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Sarah stepped forward, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's carefully considered position. We have demonstrated our ability to contain your fleet, to neutralize your weapons, and to bypass your most advanced defenses. We could impose our will upon you just as you have imposed yours upon others. But that would make us no better than what we sought to change. The quantum displays shifted again, showing new trade routes, cultural exchange programs, and technological cooperation initiatives. A vision of a galaxy united not by force, but by choice. Instead, Sarah continued, we offer partnership. Your civilization has much to teach us, despite our technological advantages. And we have much to share beyond mere technology. Together, we can build something greater than either of us could achieve alone. High Executor Ixel rose slowly, his scales shifting to show formal decision patterns. The hegemony has never negotiated as equals with another civilization. We have never had to. Yet in showing us mercy when you could have destroyed us, in offering cooperation when you could demand submission, you have proven yourselves not just our technological superiors, but perhaps our moral superiors as well. The chamber fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. The leader of an empire that spanned thousands of worlds was acknowledging not just defeat, but the fundamental wrongness of their previous path. The transition will not be easy, Director Harrison acknowledged. Centuries of imperial rule cannot be undone overnight. But humanity stands ready to help. Our quantum communication networks can connect your worlds in new ways. Our dimensional engineering can revolutionize your transportation systems. Our consciousness-linked technologies can open new paths of understanding between species. And what do you want in return? Another hegemony counselor asked. Ambassador Chen smiled gently. Change. Real, meaningful change. An end to forced technological conformity. Freedom for all worlds to develop along their own paths, with guidance offered but never imposed. A galaxy where advancement is measured not by military might, but by the growth of knowledge and understanding. In orbit, the combined fleet exercises continued. Human ships demonstrated their phase-shifting capabilities, while hegemony vessels learned to adapt their tactics. It was more than military training. It was a demonstration of how different technologies, different approaches, could work together. We spent 70 years preparing for war, Sarah said, watching the ships dance through space. Now we must prove equally dedicated to preparing for peace. The quantum shadows we used to hide our capabilities can now be used to connect worlds. The dimensional engineering we developed for defense can revolutionize civilian transportation. The very technologies we created to resist you can be used to unite us. The chamber's quantum displays showed the ripples of change already spreading through hegemony space. Worlds that had been forced into technological and cultural conformity were beginning to rediscover their unique paths. Species that had been deemed too primitive for contact were being reevaluated under new criteria. This is humanity's true victory, Director Harrison concluded. Not the defeat of your fleet, but the opportunity to help build something better. A galaxy where advancement is measured not by the worlds you can conquer, but by the civilizations you can help flourish. High Executor Ixel approached the center of the chamber, his movements carrying the formal weight of official declaration. The hegemony accepts your terms, not as the defeated accepting conquest, but as a civilization recognizing the need for change. We will work with humanity to transform our empire into something new, something better. As the delegates began the detailed work of drafting new agreements and establishing frameworks for cooperation, Sarah Chen thought about the long path that had led to this moment. Humanity had hidden in the shadows, watching and waiting, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. They had prepared for war while hoping for peace, and in the end, they had achieved something greater than victory. The quantum shadows that had hidden Earth's true nature were gone, but they had been replaced by something more valuable. A chance to guide the galaxy toward a future where shadows were no longer necessary, where civilizations could grow together in the light of shared understanding. And perhaps that, Sarah reflected as she watched human and hegemony ships flying in formation against the backdrop of Earth, was the greatest victory of all.